Hey there, and welcome to Insomnia Insight number 320, in which we are going to answer a comment from Dawn. And before we start, I want to say thank you, Dawn, for all the support and this great comment. And with that said, actually, let's just jump to it. This is a comment from Insomnia Insight number 318 from one day ago. And I will start sharing that screen right now so we can read it together. And now this, if you in case you missed it, Insomnia Insight number 318 was about like these two magic moments. I think it was a good inspirational one where I talked about how if you do anything that you think makes you sleep, like taking like a medication or supplement or using some kind of gadget or something like that, you miss out on this magical moment when you realize, oh, I can sleep without doing anything. And you realize, you know, there's magic within me. I don't need to do anything. And so just a little context there. This is the comment from Dawn. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for another great video. Just a couple of questions. I know supplements don't make you sleep. It's your own body that produces sleep. But I was just wondering your thoughts on taking a supplement to reduce hyperarousal. I've been taking magnesium as I thought I was deficient, and it seems to reduce my hyperarousal, especially at night. Just wondering your thoughts on that. And also, when getting into bed, it can take me an hour or more to fall asleep as I have so many thoughts running around my head about the day, tomorrow, etc. Doesn't stress me out. I like thinking, but I would rather fall asleep faster. So I highlighted these two things that I want to go over today. And the first one, I've spent most of my time, working on the first one, and then we'll comment on the second one as well. But the first thing I want to say here really is that today I want to really use the model, which I have this behind me. And in case it's hard for you to see, don't worry. I also have these banners prepared that will really help. So we have seen here that, the thought here from Dawn is that, perhaps this magnesium supplement is like reducing hyperarousal. Is that helpful? Is that not helpful? How are we going to approach that? So the first thing I want to say is we're going to use the model. If you have not checked out the playlist called the model, check it out for like the full understanding. I think it was really, really helpful. But so briefly, we're going to go over here. So here's the model. There are like 5 parts. So it's circumstances. These are things that just happen in life that we can control, like facts. The facts of our life, things that are just, just happen, right? And then we have thoughts. We all know what those are, right? Then we have thought, then we have emotions, and we have actions, things we do, and the results that stem from those actions. Now, there's a lot to say about this model. It's fantastic. I really believe it's really great. But the heart of it, at least like what I feel like is the heart of this model is this part: thoughts produce emotions. That is a big one. And if you think about it, like it seems like the human experience, if you don't think about it, it seems like emotions just kind of happen. I feel happy. I don't really know why. Now I feel sad. I may or may not know why. It can seem like emotions just come out of nowhere. But in reality, they're all produced by a thought. Thoughts produce emotions, and emotions produce thoughts. And just to give you a quick, I explained this, in much more detail in those videos in that playlist called The Model. But just to give you a little bit of like proof of concept there, let's do this experiment. So I want you to think of something and then query how you feel. So the first thing is imagine that you're being attacked by a grizzly bear. You're being attacked by a grizzly bear. How does that make you feel? Just thinking that. Probably a little scared, right? And then just think about this. Think about a baby, a little like 4-month-old chubby baby that's just giggling and smiling. How do you feel when you think about that? You probably feel like this warmth, like a longing to just hug that little baby, right? I know it's very short, but that is like proof of concept here that thoughts produce emotions, and emotions are actually a result of our thoughts. And with that in mind, let us continue exploring this comment from Dawn. And by the way, see there's a comment coming in. I will answer all the comments at the end here. So here's the model I created for Dawn here. So Dawn has had some trouble sleeping, and I know this particular question is more about hyperarousal. Keep that in mind, but let's keep working here. The circumstance, the thing that's inarguable is that Dawn has had trouble sleeping, right? That is our C, that's our circumstance. And that thought that then comes from that circumstance at night, at bedtime is, I may not sleep, I may or may not sleep tonight. And that thought produces what feeling? Anxiety. And when you're anxious, what do? Well, you don't want to be anxious, you don't want to not sleep. So you look for a solution. You try to figure out what's going on, etc. And then the result becomes, as we see down here, you discover magnesium. Oh, I'm maybe I have low magnesiums. Yes, I did the test. That's true. My magnesium levels are low. So that is kind of like our model here. That's one way to use the model, right? Now we're going to move forward to the next part here. So this is our new model here with the after having discovered magnesium, of course. So circumstance is the same. Dawn has had trouble sleeping for a while. The new thought though becomes, I may not sleep. Maybe I can't sleep. There's something maybe wrong with me. Like there's some issue there, but magnesium helps. And that thought produces what? Less anxiety. The thought, this is going to help. This will help, produces less anxiety. And I know I'm talking about sleep here, Dawn, but same thing applies for hyperarousal. If you're like, I'm hyperaroused, but I think this will help, that thought produces less anxiety, And what becomes the action then when you're less anxious? You don't look for a solution. You have less incentive to kind of like try to figure it out, and then you sleep better. The real reason you sleep better, of course, is that thought. Magnesium will help. You're less anxious. You do less, and you sleep better. Now, at this point, you may say, okay, so Daniel, you're making the case here that it is our thoughts that produce emotions. Hyperarousal is an emotion or emotional state that is produced by certain thoughts. So what is the problem? What is the problem if I'm thinking, I can't sleep on my own, but if I take magnesium, I'm going to sleep well, and I sleep well. Where's the problem in that? Well, here's my answer to that. It doesn't, oftentimes I will say, I have patients in clinic where they tell me like, I've taken trazodone for 20 years and I sleep fantastic. I don't feel any need at that point to say, well, the reason you're sleeping great is not the trazodone, it's how you think about the trazodone, because they're sleeping fantastic. Why would I interfere with that? I don't. But it's different when somebody is like taking something and is not really doing great. Then I think it's really helpful to do this exercise, which we're doing now. So this is a new model. In this model, we have the same circumstances before, like somebody's taking magnesium, sleeping better. But guess what? Circumstances can change. So you have the same circumstance that's been trouble sleeping, and the thought is, I may not sleep. Magnesium. So sorry, going back here. Circumstance, you have trouble sleeping again. Again, even though you're taking magnesium, right? Well, what becomes the new thought? The new thought becomes, I still, I can't sleep. That's kind of, I may not sleep. That's the original thought. But now the new tag-on thought becomes magnesium stopped working. Magnesium stopped working because you haven't challenged that original problem thought. And then that makes you anxious. You're looking for a solution. And then you discover selenium. Oh, my selenium levels are low. I need selenium. So as you can see, as long as you not challenge that underlying problem thought, which is something like I can't sleep, or I have a lot of hyperarousal, or something like that, then you kind of like never get out of this. So where you want to go, of course, is here I made the point here. Magnesium didn't reduce hyperarousal. You did is kind of the take home. The real insight here is at that time where you were taking magnesium and you were feeling less hyperaroused, you did that. You did that. The way you thought about it did that. It had nothing to do with the magnesium. You did that. Take ownership of that. Because then the new model becomes like, I've had trouble sleeping for a while, but guess what? I can sleep. Doing thought work, I can reduce my hyperarousal. This leads to relief. That becomes the emotion, and the action becomes like more inaction. Like you don't look for the solution. You don't try things. You become more passive, and you sleep really good. So I hope, Don, that this made sense. Let me know if it didn't. And going back to the, let's share the screen here and doing some kind of a little bit more maybe practical things here. The second question here, it takes me hours to fall asleep. I like thinking, but I would like to fall asleep faster. If we plug that into the model, the thought here is like, I want to sleep faster. And that thought is like, if you think about that thought, like, I want to sleep faster. It's really a variety of like, I want to sleep. And when you say I want to sleep, the desire to sleep always makes you feel like, again, kind of anxious. Like, why can't I sleep? I want to sleep, which results in like, more of the kind of looking for the solution, more of that like researching action, and the result becomes that leads you to sleep less, etc. So the thought like, I want to sleep faster is not helpful. It's better to work on that thought and get to a thought that is something like, I will sleep eventually. It's okay if I don't sleep fast, etc. That leads to relief, and that's a much better model. So how, real practically here, what can you do? Well, I want to say if you're in bed and you don't mind thinking, but you kind of want to fall asleep faster, I want to say maybe do something that you enjoy. And by the way, Don, I know you said in a later comment that you will do that, so that's fantastic. But I think if you're spending like an hour just thinking in bed, even if you don't feel necessarily that hyperaroused or stressed, do something you enjoy instead. Like take your mind off, the thought pattern that you're into, that habitual thought pattern again, and you'll do really well. So hope this helped on, and please let me know if not. And I want to say before we jump into the comments here that this is, if you find this helpful, like using the model, if you think like this is really interesting, there's something there, then the self-coaching master program that we have on the Sleep Coach School is perfect for you, because I use this model throughout the program to really make students understand how the mind works and use that to then understand how sleep works, etc. So with that said, let's check this is Lytle here. Said elbow cough. Okay, love it. All right, Lytle, thanks so much for that. And this is a short one. Hope this helped, and I'll be back tomorrow with Coach Michael answering questions and comments. So I hope to see you back then. Bye-bye.